Good morning from Panhandle Outdoors, America's only daily outdoor TV show. Your source for fishing, hunting, and information for folks who enjoy the great outdoors. Now sit back, relax. It's Panhandle Outdoors.
Good morning, folks. Welcome to Panhandle Outdoors. I'm Winston Chester. Glad to hear this morning. Got a great show lined up, but first, our weather. It's going to be still cool, but let's talk about the water temperature first because it's below 58 degrees out there. It's actually 57.9, but that's below 58. So our water is cold right now. So it's as cold as it's been, like I said yesterday, cold as it's been all winter right now. High today is going to be 60, low 51. It won't be quite as cold tonight. It was just low of 51. Our river readings, we're looking at the Apalachicola at Bluntstown is reading a 10-foot even. It's got a little bit of a drop to it, continually drop, and right at 10 foot, get back in single digits this time tomorrow. The Choctaw at Caryville is at a 7.3, just steady, not much movement at all. It's going to be in good shape Saturday and Sunday if you're fishing up there. Our tide chart brought to us by Kent Forest Lawn right here on 23rd Street. You're looking at the low tide this morning at 8:15 and a high tide at 9:53. And a wind is going to be coming about out of the west at about 8. So we're not having that north wind like we've had for the last 4 or 5 days, bring that cold area and have more of a westward movement with it. So keep up with that, especially setting up your deer. If you're doing a ground blind, and that's the purpose of a ground blind, is to play the wind and know which way the wind's coming. So it's going to be critical these next 8 to 10 days here in the Panhandle. And we've been showing a lot of big bucks. It's going to be critical that if you're doing a ground blind to know what the wind is doing. So keep that pattern in mind. Okay, let's take a break and we'll be right back. Okay, welcome back. Ran into Ronnie Groom the other day, and he also called me to remind you the Big Buck Contest is going strong down at C&G, and be sure to make, you enter it and all that. You want to enter ahead of time, and you can get, if you win it, you get it mounted free, either Watford Taxidermy or Coit Jordan Taxidermy. That's two great taxidermists we have here, and your choice of whichever one you want, and that's some good, like I say, those guys are good. Now let's move on to some messages I received. This was a good one, and we haven't really talked about this because, but now is a good time to talk about it. It hadn't come up. Good morning, Coach. Okay, this is from Joe Walsingham. I'm a regular viewer of the show and noticed on Friday, January 8th, you talking about the birds at your home. If any of your viewers are interested in hosting purple martins, now is the time to get ready for the 2021 arrival. They generally arrive around the first or second week of February and stay until late June. They are fascinating birds to watch, and they totally rely on man-made housing. Whether it's gourds or houses, it's a rewarding hobby to host these birds. These birds like open space, open areas, and this has become one of the silver linings to Hurricane Michael. A lot of us have plenty of open spaces now. Please add my name, Joe Walsingham up there in Lynn Haven. Thank you, Joe. And ironically, right after that, I got a call from H.C. Slay up in Bonifay. He was all excited because normally you don't see the scouts coming in until about, like Joe said. And well, H.C. He actually called. He'd been keeping up with his martin since 1973, recording them and everything. On January the 3rd, he saw 3 scouts coming in. These are the males coming in. On January the 9th, 2 more scouts came in, and then on January the 11th, had 5 scouts. That's those males coming in and spend the night, and to try to find a place for the female to come later. It's a cool setup they have. And so that is so interesting. I said, HC, he's up there in Bonifay. I said, what do you think, all that early activity? He was just astounded that, they're coming in this early. He says to him, he thinks it's a sign of maybe us having an early spring. How about that? That's a good idea, isn't it? Okay, so we're going to talk about the martins. Thank you for the feedback. And I told both of them, I've tried for years to get them in, but I don't know if they don't like my area, but I really don't have enough wide open spaces right now. But I'm going to try again this year to get some martins coming in. Let's take a break and we'll be right back. Okay, welcome back. Again, on the martins, they're really amazing birds. I've observed them my whole life. I've never had them come into my place, but with the hurricane and all, it's blown my stuff down, and I know some of y'all have a lot of good experience with, and you can see, one of the best places in these backyards with the ponds and all. I like to put the gourds up by the pond so they can get some water and all that. So anyway, keep us posted on your martins and everything. And I'm going to show you a picture of an eagle in it. But before we get to that, we've got this video coming up, and I got to visit with Billy Brown up there in Midland City, Alabama. Saturday I ran up there, and I got some of that firewood, and we had Billy working really hard on his property up there. He just loves, he's like us, he loves getting out in the woods and working, and it's a special situation because he's really working on it for the next generation and all, and he's really trying to get a quail and turkey going. So as a result, the deer end up in the same area. So he's got he's got some adjoining land that his brother has and all. So got a good situation up there. So I just wanted to share some of his thoughts because he's done so much research and so much work on it. Share some of his thoughts on what he's doing, and for the leaseholders and property owners and all, this is a great way to go. So Jeff, let's go ahead and roll this. All right, folks, came back up here to South Alabama to see my buddy Billy Brown. He offered me some firewood, and what he did, he got a load of it back there. And look at here, I got me a load to take back to Southport. How about that? Good firewood. Now, this is his property up here, and he's doing some really cool things in land management. I want to show you, he's going to explain to you. Billy, buddy, thank you for that firewood.
You're welcome, man. I've got more of it than I'll ever use.
Well, listen, you've really done some work up here.
Yeah, it's been.
You got.
Honestly, it is truly a labor of love. The more I work up here, the more I fall in love with this place.
You speak from the heart because so many of us with just a little piece of property talk about just getting out in the woods and doing this. And we're going to talk about some of the things you're doing because you're getting it ready for quail and turkey and deer. And so you're really sort of at the foundation level. So tell us some of the things you're doing.
Well, where we're at is 18 acres of planted pines. There's 141 acres on the farm as a whole, but only 18 acres of planted pines. The rest of it's just natural woods. And had it harvested many years ago, and as happens too often, the timber company messed me up, and I've come to realize this property is not going to have marketable timber for 3 generations. And I lost heart, and then decided, wait a minute, I'm 67 years old, I need to prepare to say goodbye, and I need to leave something behind that my kids and grandkids can enjoy. And they'll know that Pop-Pop left them something. So I decided to turn this into a hunting haven, hunting and fishing haven. And of course, you've talked about the pond, you've seen that, and it's amazing. The pond is absolutely amazing. Kids are loving it, having a ball. But as a kid, I was always ready for a quail to jump in front of me. No matter what I was hunting, I was ready for a quail on my way to hunt whatever I was going to hunt. Well, we've lost our quail. We got so few, it's ridiculous. In 20 years, I've seen 1 covey on this place, and they're gone. So I decided I would wanted some quail. Got to researching it and going to Pheasant Fest and Quail Forever and all that, to their national convention, showing some of my equipment. And I was always close to the habitat zone, so I got to listening to all that and watching their videos and talking to those people. And it put a fire in my belly for it. Mm-hmm. And then I learned, because we mostly are deer hunters and we also like turkey, but quail is just too much fun. And they're such a neat bird, love them to death, and they're really good eating. Mm-hmm. So learned if you'll manage for quail, you're going to improve your turkey and deer dramatically. And I've learned from some quail plantation managers over in Georgia, where the new owner buys it and he's not interested in quail, he's interested in deer, and he has them change what they're doing. And though they're managing for deer, they're losing deer population and deer quality, mm-hmm. because they're no longer managing for the little quail. So I'm managing for quail have no quail on the property yet. I've only been working on it, you know, for a year total. I'm already seeing improvements in my deer and my turkey. Where used to we would see maybe 3 turkeys a year. We're seeing them in batches of 10 and 12 now, at least once a week. Deer, we're seeing them, these lanes that you're going to show in just a minute, the deer are walking these like they've never walked before. This little food plot over here, I've never had it, had the deer in it like they're in it now. They're just covering it up and they're keeping it clipped off like it's mowed with a lawnmower. I've never had that before. Based on what I saw this morning, I had probably 15 deer in that little plot last night, 2 really nice bucks that I scared off from it just before you showed up at 8 o'clock this morning. When I drove in, I scared them off of it. Some nice 8 points, not yet fully mature. But another thing that I've learned, I've never seen little birds, like songbirds and what have you, just one every once in a while. Once I started clearing out these pines, clearing out the oaks in these pines, I'm seeing the place just covered up in little birds. Now, talking to farmers and ranchers and researchers, they're telling me when the little birds show up, you're doing it right. And so I'm already seeing improvements everywhere. I'm seeing more deer traffic than ever, seeing more turkey than ever, and I've only been at it a short time.
Okay.
So once I've been at this for 3 years, I'm expecting to see something really marvelous.
Okay, that's a great game plan. I've been witnessing it. I've been up here before, and let's go over and show me some of these places you're talking about, some of these lanes and all.
Well, there's some specific things you need to do that we're going to show in just a minute. When you start making brush piles, when you start cutting the hardwoods out, and now like what I'm fixing, there's right here behind you is 6-acre plot. I cut out all but 5 oaks. I left 5 acorn oaks in that 6 acres.
Okay.
Because they do need some acorns.
Okay.
And your deer certainly need the acorns, but all surrounding this is plenty of acorn oaks. Plenty of acorn producing oaks.
Okay. Okay, so we're walking down the side. These are the lanes you're talking about.
Right.
And with your tractor now, you've been working on this. You got everything pushed up between. So tell us about.
Well, see, the important thing now is to get sunlight to the ground so that what I plant in there for food has the sunlight to grow, but also so that the weeds and forbs and legumes can grow. And so everywhere the sunlight gets and where I get rid of the forest floor, and I'll be disking, where I disc, then the weeds are going to come up. I'm also got a no-till grain drill that I'll be planting every other lane in these pines. This big lane we're standing in right here, about 200, 250 yards long, about 70 feet wide. That'll be planted. There'll be 1 strip of fall, but then there will be Egyptian wheat, buckwheat, brown top millet, and iron and clay peas planted in here. And one thing I've loved is the turkeys love that, the deer love that, the quail love it. And so this is going to be a good feeding and brood zone for them. Brood ground is other than food, brood ground is the most important thing they've got to have, because they can't raise the babies without the brood ground. And that requires tall weeds with a canopy and bare ground under. And so that's what I'm doing with the buckwheat and the brown top millet and so on.
All right, Billy, tell them what's going on in this area right here.
Well, I've still got some cleanup to do in this lane. I got some treetops to cut off and throw over in to make brush piles. But one thing I learned about, quail, turkey, deer all like loose brush piles. Quail and turkey must have them for survival. And when you're cutting the oaks down, don't cut them off low to the ground. Cut them off high like this, and don't cut them completely loose from the stump. Cut them to where you can push them over. And that leaves the trunk up off the ground, and then that's travel lanes for the quail and the turkey. The baby turkeys can run through here and stay safe. The turkeys will nest in here. The quail won't nest in here, but they will run and travel to the food lanes for it.
And it's giving them protection from the predators.
And it's protection from the predators.
Wow. That's
And of course, predator control is extremely important. And from what I was hearing from an official not long ago, just this week, here in the southeast region, probably 60% of our fawns are being eaten by coyotes every summer. Every summer. Bobcats are eating as many as 80% of our quail and turkey.
And that's coming from officials.
That's coming from officials.
Mm-hmm.
And so
they got to have somewhere to hide.
You know, for too long, government officials have been saying, oh, we've got to have predators, we've got to have predators. Well, now we got too many.
Mm-hmm.
And I know this is not politically correct, but I am totally against all the shark prohibitions, because I've been offshore fishing for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Used to, we'd catch 2 or 3 sharks a year. Now you catch 2 or 3 every time you go out. You can't hardly get a fish to the boat that a shark don't eat before on the way up.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got to get predator control. And the coyotes, bobcats, raccoons, possums, armadillos, skunks, we can get rid of those. Hawks, we're not allowed to do anything about them. But when you do stuff like this, it makes it hard for a hawk to get to it. When you're planting things like partridge peas, buckwheat, stuff like that, that gives good brood ground that the hawks can't really get to the babies while they're in there growing up. And for your brood ground, you're wanting to plant stuff and grow stuff and weeds and what have you that attracts a lot of insects, because for the first 6 weeks of a quail's life and for turkey's life is primarily insects. And you want plants that attract insects.
Yep. Better tell me about this one.
Killed him in northwest New Mexico, northeast New Mexico, between Raton and Cimarron.
New Mexico.
On the Dawson property.
How big?
Mining property.
How big is he?
He measured Boone and Crockett 310 and 6/8. Killed him after a rut. He weighed 980 pounds.
980 pounds?
After the rut. He had weighed about 1,200 before the rut.
Goodness gracious. How far, okay, how many shots did it take?
One shot with a 7 mag. He was 400 yards up the side of the mountain, standing on a rock ledge. He stopped on a rock ledge when the guide did a cow call and he stopped. And I pulled the trigger and we blood trailed him about 100 yards and there he lay.
400-yard shot. Cool. All right, Billy, what we got here, buddy?
This is the predator trout. You put bait down in there, basically deer guts or whatever, and when it starts to rot, they smell it and they come after it. He'll stick his nose and his front legs down in there trying to get to it. It's 5 feet long. It's 5 feet down in there. It's on a 45-degree angle, and it's slippery on the inside. He can't get a grip to pull himself out.
Mm-hmm.
And so once he goes down in there, he's stuck. If it's a coyote, his tail, his butt's sticking out. You can tie him by the hind leg and drag him out and shoot him. But, you know, you better be careful. You don't want to pull him out with a rope. He'll get you. So I'm going to use my front end loader. I'll tie him to it and to the front end loader, and I'll just pick him up and shoot him and be done with him. But that'll get the bobcats, the raccoons, possums, what have you. Raccoons and possums, I'm just going to leave them in there for bait. I'll take my .22 and shoot them in there, but I got to be careful not to shoot the pipe, because that skins it up and gives them a grip for their paws to grab a hold and get themselves out. And now, a bobcat, I'm not going to leave him in there. I'll take my tuna gaff and reach in and get him after I've shot him. Probably shoot him with a 12-gauge slug. I want to make sure he's real dead before he comes out. I don't want to deal with a mad bobcat.
There you go. All right. Good. That's your predator trout.
But the pipe is 5 feet long, 4.5 to 5 feet long. It's buried in the ground with just this sticking out. And it's on a 45-degree angle. The angle is important.
Mm-hmm.
If it's steeper than that, he's not likely to stick it in there. If it's not that steep, he'll get back out.
Yep. All right. Good job.
And that 45-degree angle is actually measured. I measure that angle.
Cool.
So this is my first one. I'm putting out 8 on the property. Haven't started baiting them yet, but that'll start in about 2 weeks.
All right, good job. Okay, here's some of these traps. Okay, welcome back. Hope you enjoyed that. Hope you learned a little bit. I sure did. It's enjoyable going up there and spending some time with Billy. Let's take a look at our fishing game time today, brought to us by Blue Water Outriggers. Again, just one time. We're looking at 12/21 to 2/21. That's back-to-back days where we just had that one time right in the middle of the day. I don't think we've ever had back-to-back days at one time. Just those little things like that, it just makes this show interesting. Speaking of some interesting stuff and talking about land, I want to talk to you about something. You know, we get people who move in all the time, and a lot of outdoorsmen move down here, and I love to see them move down here and enjoy the same things we've enjoyed for a long time. And it's easy to enjoy things if you're a fisherman because you got all the boat ramps and all the water, so you can move in from Ohio or wherever and just be right here. It's tough on some of these guys that move down here that just absolutely love the woods and love to get out and hunt, because we don't have that many public places really. And I'm saying this in case some of you leaseholders might be losing some people leasing with you, and if you have any openings, there's some guys out there that I've communicated with that I know just by talking to them, they had this passion and love to just want to get out in the woods. And you can imagine how we would feel if we moved to Georgia or Arkansas and want to get out in the woods, don't have where to go. So keep that in mind if you have some openings. I know the season's ending up pretty soon, and some of y'all sort of planning already for next year. I've got some folks who are good outdoorsmen, I can just tell by talking to them, that really want to get on a lease and be a part of an outdoor group. And you know the camaraderie and all that they all have, and they just want to be a part of it. And some of them moved down here and they've communicated with me, so I want to share that with you. Fishing, they have no problem getting out and finding places to fish because we got plenty of fishing places, plenty of boat ramps. So keep that in mind and touch base with me, and I'll get a hold of them, maybe get y'all together. That's a win-win for everybody. I'd like to see that happen. Well, I've got a lot more stuff. I've got some names to add. We're going to add some more names tomorrow. Y'all have a great day. Do something good today for your fellow man, and God bless.
Thanks for watching America's only daily outdoor TV show, Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester, featuring hunting, fishing, and other activities and information to help you enjoy the great outdoors. Join us next time for Panhandle Outdoors.